The Oklahoma Sooners are going to do to Arch Manning just what Florida did.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Joining us on this special edition of Locked On Sooners is Locked On College Football, Spencer McLaughlin. Also, we got Jay Smith, as always. I'm John Williams, and we got to talk OU Texas. And Spencer, first I got to ask, where did you have Texas ranked in the preseason?
Do I have to answer that question?
Yes. You have to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had them power rated pretty high in the SEC. I didn't make a preseason top 25 this year. That's going to change going forward thanks to the assistance of the man on my stage right here, Jay, who has more graphical capabilities than myself. But yeah, I had Texas preseason number 2 team in the SEC because of what they had on the defensive side of the ball. You had Arch Manning had just been sitting and watching from a veteran quarterback for the last couple of years, and now he's ready with, not the best weapons Texas has ever had, but what should be good enough weapons led by Ryan Wingo. And I expected him, like most people, I think, to look more like Dante Moore at Oregon, and instead he looks like Arch Manning, and that's not a good comparison right now. So I did have Texas pretty high coming into the year, but I'm off the train.
I mean,
that's always a plus.
I mean, everybody was hyping up Texas. So it's not like you're the only one that's out there that was on a ledge, but you're on our show, and I just had to bring it up. But
that's totally fair. Totally fair.
He was the only one on the ledge. We're going to go ahead and just blame him for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been interesting to see this Texas team this year, through 5 games. They've looked good against lower level competition. They've played, 2.
Have they?
I mean, looked okay. I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm just nice. I'm not like some of the other guys on our network that just take every opportunity to just dunk on a team. I'm sorry.
John, you're nice?
Go,
John does
you guys
seem
talk about it then.
John does seem like a very nice. Well, it's just, they played UTEP and it was a struggle. The game where Arch Manning was back, where he fixed himself, flexing on the guy, was Sam Houston, who's winless in Conference USA. Like, that's the best Texas has actually looked in a game this season, and that's just startling. It's one thing to, be like DJ Lagway and how Florida's looked, where it's inconsistent and there are flashes of there's no flash of greatness with Arch Manning outside of a couple of throws. There are no games. DJ Lagway just played a game where you watch him and go, oh, there's the guy some people picked as a Heisman Trophy winner this year. What game do you have for that with Arch Manning right now? Sam Houston State? Congratulations. If you didn't put Houston right there in the name, people wouldn't know where it was located. So, and I bet most people don't even know what conference they're in or what conference they were in before they went to Conference USA. I know because I've covered them many times, but I just, it's been surprising how bad it is. It's one thing for it to have been a struggle, but I don't think Arch Manning is Texas' quarterback in 2026 if they're serious about winning football games.
Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so when it comes to this offensive line, as we've kind of gone into this, this season about Texas, that was the one thing that a lot of people pointed out, that replacing 4 guys in the NFL, and you're going to hear me repeat this all week long. You've heard me say it all week long because it is the thing that a lot of people have tried to tell Texas fans, and we're starting to see that. Now, Florida was able to go out there and be pretty dominant in the trenches. Oklahoma's considered to have one of the better ones out there in the country. You think Oklahoma can repeat what Florida did or do it even worse?
100%. I like Oklahoma's defense even more than Florida's. I do think Florida's defense has been good this year. I don't think that's a unit to scoff at. I think their head coach is somebody to scoff at. And as a team, they're just aggressively mediocre, inconsistent up and down. And that's why I don't think Billy Napier should be their head coach in 2026. I didn't think he should be their head coach coming into this season, but he got that late season surge against teams that had kind of thrown in the towel, and then they're like, oh, he figured it out. Look at that. Yeah, he's got it, and they're just forgetting they're Florida. So, for Texas here, I worry about the offensive line a lot in this matchup. Obviously, you've got a unique crowd situation with Red River, and it's such a uniquely awesome rivalry game in college football. One of the best, top 5 in the country easily, probably top 3. I know Oklahoma fans and Texas fans would probably say it's number 1. There's some heavy hitters up there, but it's high on my list. It is very, very high on my list as someone who talks about college football from a 30,000-foot view. And, Arch coming into this game has an opportunity to flip the narrative and make guys like me stop yapping so much. I have no confidence that that's going to just show up in this game against Oklahoma. I loved the Sooners defense last year. I loved it coming into this season. I have loved what I've seen from them on that side of the ball. Nothing to not like. It starts up front. It doesn't end up front for me when I watch what Oklahoma does well. So I'm just not, I can't talk myself into Arch Manning is going to have his coming out party here against Oklahoma. Like, I've seen enough. I've seen enough at this point in the year. One game against Texas, all right, it's a bad game. Let's see if you progress. But when you struggle against UTEP, when you're flexing on somebody against Sam Houston, and then you go play Florida, and it's the same sort of stuff, he's going to make a couple special throws a game, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, when you go back to last year and you look at Arch Manning versus Power 4 competition, it's not boded well for young Arch. Still a very young quarterback, but yeah, it's not been great. He's not lived up to the 5-star number 1 overall prospect billing. And you'd think that after several years of sitting behind Quinn Ewers, sitting in Steve Sarkisian's meeting rooms and learning, that he'd be better prepared. And you'd think that Texas's offensive line would be able to be better than what it is. Even with all of the turnover, you'd expect that. It just isn't, it's not showing up yet.
No.
And yes, they've got some injuries at running back, at wide receiver, whatever, but Texas is supposed to be recruiting at the highest level, as high as anybody in the country. And they're supposed to be able to just replenish every single year because of all the recruiting. It's not happening.
No, it's not. And I think the injury concerns at receiver are fair. Running back, also, again, fair, not a top 2 or 3 problem on Texas's list this year. Why did the defensive line get pushed around by Florida last week? That was bizarre. That's a unit that has crazy amounts of talent, and they were just straight up not good. And I mean, the offense had a couple of moments, but I mean that defensive front just got bullied by Florida, and that's not something that should be acceptable for the Longhorns defense. Jay, you're making a face. Why are you making a face, Jay?
Well, I'm making a face mainly because Texas went in the portal and got 5 interior defensive linemen. 5. That tells me they had 0 going into the spring if they felt they needed to basically replace everybody on that line. And kind of made me think that's why they were getting pushed around. They brought in a whole bunch of new dudes. Now, maybe in a year, once they really get into a Texas system of lifting and or whatnot, maybe they'll get better. But they have to bring in new dudes, a lot of new dudes.
Maybe. I'd counter with last year I watched Oregon's defensive line be the best the Ducks had in a decade, and 2 of the guys, both interior starters, were transfers in Derek Harmon, Jamari Caldwell.
2. You said 2.
Yeah.
They went and got 5 because they didn't have anyone.
Fair.
That was my point.
That's fair. I also look at the way that defense played against Ohio State on the road and say, yeah, that's what this defense actually has potential-wise, and I think that unit is still in there. It's still good. Maybe not quite as good as I thought, but anyway, the problem for Texas is not on that side of the ball. They had a bad game, but the margin that Texas is operating with right now is one where the offense is doing so little, the defense has to be perfect. It's like for most of my life watching my beloved Seattle Mariners play baseball. You better not give up more than 2 runs, pitching staff, because you're getting 3 from the offense and you're going to like it. And game 1 of the ALDS against the Tigers, you can look at the decision that Dan Wilson made and say, shouldn't have let Kerry Carpenter face George Kirby for a 3rd time. And then you go, well, end of the day, the staff went 11 innings and gave up 3 runs and 2 through 10. that's got to be enough. And that's how I feel about Texas. You can nitpick the defense and say, this got to be better, okay, you're always looking to improve. At the end of the day, the problem is they cannot consistently move the ball because Arch Manning is not good enough at quarterback. He just isn't.
So Spencer is replacing Arch Manning in 2026 with somebody else as the quarterback at Texas. He's replacing Billy Napier as the head coach at Florida. Let's find out who else he might be replacing for the 2026 college football season coming up here on Locked On Sooners and Locked On College Football. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For the Oklahoma Sooners, I got to give it to David Stone. We're seeing the breakout performance of David Stone. He had another big game against Kent State, 6 total tackles, a half a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. He was just awesome. He's been awesome for several weeks in a row, going back to the Auburn game, the Temple game. He's just been trending in the right direction heading into the Red River Showdown, and I'm expecting another big game this week. When the pressure is on, he's come through. No hesitation, no delay, and if you've been watching week after week, the performances, they're not a fluke. David Stone is on a streak, and just like David Stone delivered for Oklahoma, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app as we prepare for this game. FanDuel now has Oklahoma as a 1.5-point favorite. As we talked about in another segment, it appears that Oklahoma has a very good chance in this game with John Mateer on the field. So, because of that, FanDuel makes it very easy for you to get into the game, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into those stats. FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today and get started. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's, moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game. It's about redefining it. There's moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move cultures, and keep the game moving forward. So this week's moment that moved the game forward is John Mateer is probable, and Dr. Shin is out here doing miracle work on people's thumbs. Period. Every single one of y'all excited about the fact that Dr. Shin was able to get this kid ready to go. The surgery appears to have been successful, and it sounds like John Mateer is going to be in this game. So, yeah, you're going to give it to both John Mateer as well as Dr. Shin for being there. Stephen Shin, shout out to you. Hope that you're ready to enjoy this game as well, to show off your work. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, there's more to every highlight. There's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
Hey, thanks again for making Locked On Sooners and Locked On College Football your first listens every single day. Spencer, as you look at this Oklahoma Sooners team, what has impressed you the most about this group through 5 games?
I think the consistency with which the defense has played. You know, what's the worst performance they've had so far? Not bad, worst. Worst and bad are two very, very different things. But
See, I can't even attribute that word to any of the games.
I know. That's why I'm trying to get your guys' collective subconscious to get rid of the idea that it means it's bad. Like, what's the worst that they have played so far this year?
UTEP.
UTEP?
No, Oklahoma's offense. Defense.
Oklahoma's offense?
No, Oklahoma's defense. Oklahoma's defense.
Maybe Auburn? Maybe?
Yeah, it'd be Auburn.
Just because of there were some plays that the secondary gave up that Jackson Arnold just couldn't hit.
Yeah, so this is the point that I'm making. And when I watch them play, I don't know what they don't do well, what they can't do well. I feel like they have playmakers at every level. I love what they do up front. You can't have a great defense without having a front four. I think they have done very well, and Venables has just coached them well. They just don't look like a unit that is going to give you anything. They're not going to make a whole lot of mistakes. They're not going to commit a lot of silly penalties. They're going to make you work for it because they are tough and physical. They're not one-dimensional where it's, hey, we're really good against the run, but we're a little weak against the pass. Like, I just haven't seen that. And that's why I like the Sooners so much going into this Red River matchup. It's just, I don't know what holes I'm poking in the Oklahoma defense that's going to allow Arch Manning to suddenly have his coming out party. Like, I don't know how you could look at the body of work these two teams have put together and arrive at that conclusion. Now, that'll make it all the more impressive if Arch Manning does do that, but in no way am I anticipating that Arch has the best game of his career on Saturday, because this is one of the 3 or 4 better defenses, probably one of the 2 or 3 best defenses that he's faced so far.
No, that's a fair point. And when you look at Oklahoma, now we have to go to the opposite side of the ball. Of course, the big question right now is John Mateer going to play? We've seen multiple of these, as this is being, later in the week, multiple availability reports, but nobody's going to give you an exact answer. Everybody's going to lie to you, it feels like. But John Mateer plays in this game. Do you think that he would be close to 100%? Or do you think that Oklahoma will be willing to throw him out there at like a 50-50?
Either of you guys ever do mock trial in high school or college? Anything like that? Yeah. Do you know what a lawyer would object to with that particular question, Jay? If you asked that to me and I was a witness on the stand, you know what my lawyer would object to?
What?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge. The witness does not have the requisite knowledge established in this court to answer that particular question. I have no idea if he'd be at 100%, Jay. I haven't operated on him. I am not a medical professional. I'm just going to listen to what the Oklahoma State. I know. I've got a.
What are we talking here?
I've got Brent Venables.
Yeah, I've got a lot of skills. Being a medical professional, not one of them. It's not for me. I can't even look at a needle, man. Like, that was just never cut out for me. And God bless the medical industry. And, we obviously need those people a whole heck of a lot. Anyway, so I think that for Mateer in this game, it's one that, even though, frankly, you should be able to beat Texas with Michael Hawkins at quarterback, I don't look at this game and say, yeah, if he's not 100%, don't play him. Nope. If he gets cleared to play, even if he's 70%, 75%, you play him. You just do. Rivalry games can get weird. If there was one where Oklahoma would stumble in a game that they should win, this would be it. Because rivalry games, you can throw every single record out the window and just anticipate. Yeah, unless you can fully dominate. I think Oklahoma's offense has been good, not great so far. I would say you definitely play him if he's ready to go. And obviously it's a huge storyline going into this game. But yeah, even if he's not there, I will not pick Texas to win the football game.
So regardless of who's playing quarterback, Spencer is picking Oklahoma.
I can't pick Arch Manning. I was actually gonna make Florida one of my best bets last week because I thought they'd keep it close, but Texas would win. But I ultimately came down on, I don't want to ever, put a pick or anything on Billy Napier or Arch Manning. I can't do it.
Wow. I would have never.
I'll go against Billy Napier this week.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking Texas A&M laying 6.5. I think they're winning that game by 15 to 20.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really easy to see Billy Napier is just one of these guys that's just kind of getting by with a lot of the talent that Florida is able to recruit because of Florida. And I think right now we're seeing that with Texas. Like, Steve Sarkisian kind of got a big bump early. They got back-to-back, college football playoff appearances. The recruiting bump was there. But there's just something that it's weird that it's kind of on a downward slide all of a sudden.
I think it's too soon to say the program's going to get run back into the ground of mediocrity where he picked it up at.
Where it belongs. It's a program of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Everybody makes the joke about Texas 8-4 about Texas A&M, but I mean, aside from that 2005 national championship, Texas is basically Texas A&M. They're not all that dissimilar.
No, they're not historically. I think that's a function of the coaches that have been in place, not the actual caliber of the job. If you ask me to rank my top 5 jobs, head coaching jobs in college football, I'm not so sure Texas isn't number 2. Like Georgia might be 1. Texas might be number 1, honestly. I would have them that high for the caliber of the job. I really do believe with this Texas team, they're missing. If Quinn Ewers were the quarterback, they'd have no more than 1 loss. They're probably undefeated right now. I really believe that.
And that's the guy that everybody was trying to run out of town last week.
Yep.
So they should have convinced him to come back 1 more year is what you're telling me.
It would have been expensive, but yeah, I think felt like they hit their ceiling with Quinn Ewers, like back-to-back years in the semifinal. We need that next year. Well, this is, the difficult conversation to have with quarterbacks and head coaches across the country. Like earlier this week, I talked about your guys' former Big 12 brethren, Baylor, and the situation with Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda is doing fine. He's 4-2. He orchestrated a 14-point comeback or 10-point comeback against Kansas State last week, and hardly anybody was there to watch it. Why? Because they're apathetic about a coach who's winning, but can we get over the top? Can he get us back to a conference championship level? They're kind of on the situation. Now, the risk you run with running him out of town is, well, are we going to do better? Or could we do worse? Billy Napier is a great case study of that. Dan Mullen was not losing football games. Let me pull up his record real quick. I didn't come prepared for
he had a bunch of 10-win
particular.
seasons.
Dan Mullen's coaching tenure at Florida went like this: 10-3, 11-2, 8-4, and then 5-6. That was a downward spiral, no doubt. But
and that was the COVID year, that 5-6.
Yeah.
No, that was 2021.
Okay.
I believe. That was just a quick glance. By the way, he's 5-0 at UNLV. They're like the worst 5-0 team in college football, if anyone was curious. But again, Dan Mullen was not losing football games horrifically, but they felt like they could upgrade. Well, they downgraded. And now you have Billy Napier, and you talked yourself last year into 8 wins with a bowl game. Oh boy, this is great. So it's a difficult spot to be in. It really is with quarterbacks and head coaches. When you have a certain floor of production, can you go over the top? The Arizona Cardinals in the NFL, you going to move on from Kyler Murray? Feels like there's a ceiling, but he's got a really high floor. You could do worse, but could you do better? I don't know. Can you? That's the debate.
Sounds like a lot of the debate I've had with Dallas Cowboys fans over the years about Dak Prescott, because a lot of Cowboys fans
there's another good one.
Don't think he's any good. I'm like, are you kidding me?
He's not bad.
He's pretty good. He might not be Patrick Mahomes elite.
He is not.
He's in that top 10.
Top 10, 12. Like you have a top third quarterback. You have a top third. He's top third.
I've watched Eli Manning win Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. You can win Super Bowls with Dak Prescott. Anyway, this is not the Florida Locked On Gators. This is not Locked On Cowboys or Locked On Cardinals, which you should go check out all of those shows.
Yes.
But it's just a really interesting game, man, because both offenses are kind of struggling a little bit. Both defenses are fantastic. It's one of those that could come down to, hey, a field goal here, a punt here, a kick return here. What do you think the narrative is going to be kind of coming out of this game?
I mean, there will be Arch Manning discussion one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty inevitable because of how the season's gone to this point. If Oklahoma loses this game, I'd be pretty concerned because Texas showed more than just an Arch Manning problem last week. And if Florida was able to expose him, Oklahoma should be able to. I think there's more to lose than there is to gain for Oklahoma in this spot because of how Texas is playing. So if Oklahoma wins, I think you can see them not get as much credit for the victory because Texas is deservedly unranked at the moment. And it would be their third loss, and they're probably heading for a 7-ish win season this year. So even with a favorable schedule. So I think for Oklahoma, you kind of have to grit and bear that feeling of just got to win. We're not going to get a huge rankings boost. We're not going to get a perception boost. I think we can learn things about the Oklahoma offense. Can they take a step forward running the ball with someone that isn't a quarterback? I think that's a legit measuring stick. That's what I'll be looking for. in this game because I trust everything else. Especially if John Mateer is playing, I trust what they can do throwing the ball, what they can do defensively, as we talked about. But I think for Oklahoma here, there to me is way more pressure on the Sooners.
Score prediction.
Presuming John Mateer plays, I'll take Oklahoma 23-10.
Loving it. So more pressure on the Sooners just means more opportunity for Oklahoma to go make a statement in this one. Make sure you go check out Spencer's show, Locked On College Football, all week long.
Got my Sooner red on today.
It's crimson, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
close enough.
a little bit. Fine. But go check out his work. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about this game on Locked On College Football sometime next week when he just breaks down everything that happens across the college football landscape. Go follow Jay at Unfair Sports. You can go check me out at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all your favorite social media platforms, and also go check out Locked On College Football again for all of your college football takes. Spencer's got you covered. He will cover the new Pac-12, the MAC, conference realignment for the Sun
whatever
Belt,
you want,
everything. Whatever
Ohio Bobcats, good team, team.
Yep.
Don't sleep on Ball State.
He knows Sam Houston State, Huntsville, Texas. Not Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Texas. Little note here about this before we get out of here. So I played a lacrosse game in Huntsville in freezing cold temperatures, and their field was lined by like concrete steps around. It was like this, almost like a Coliseum style, like
That's kind of awesome.
It was kind of cool. Also really cold. Awesome. Don't get hit with a lacrosse ball in 10-degree weather. It's not a good idea. And that's going to do it. Until next time, he's Spencer McLaughlin. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner. Come on, Spencer.
Boomer Sooner.
There
yes.